What's up guys, Meredith with ExtremeTerrain.com, and today we are checking out the J&L 3.0 oil separator in a black anodized finish for the driver's side, fitting all 2022 and newer Toyota Tundras. Now if you're looking for mods that will keep your motor running better for longer, this will be a very popular choice to do it with, and an affordable one at that. This oil separator will be perfect for the Tundra owner not only looking for an efficient way to keep their motor gunk free and keep their performance in check, filtering all of that air being routed into the intake system for clean air, but also wants a system that's going to be hassle-free for easy maintenance over time. Now you may not realize it, but oily vapors on their way out of the engine do sneak back in through the PCV system or the crankcase vent, which can create buildup over time, can bog down your engine's performance, it can dilute the gas in the system and lower the octane levels, and in forced induction applications like this one, it usually is a bit more intense or over-exaggerated with those symptoms. Now this, however, will eliminate all of those potential issues and optimize your crankcase ventilation, keeping poor performance symptoms at bay. Now this will filter all of that unwanted gunk with a multi-layer filter and a large 3-ounce catch can at the bottom, so all the excess oil gets pushed down into here through those filters and all that clean air gets pushed back into the intake system. Now again, maintenance is easy, so at every oil change or every 2,000 to 3,000 miles or so, all you have to do is remove the base of the can here by unscrewing it at the bottom. You'll dump all the excess oil when you're doing your oil change, or even if you just want to change it out, and then you'll thread it back on for easy maintenance. And it even has a knurled edge at the bottom, so if you have oily hands, it's going to be super easy to unscrew. Now the separator is made of a black anodized billet aluminum construction, which is great for this application considering it's durable, it's going to hold up well to those hot or extreme engine bay temps, and will resist corrosion as well as just simply look good mounted in your engine bay. The filter on the inside will consist again of a multi-layer system, so when that oil-air mixture gets pushed down into the separator, it's going to push all that dense oil in while letting the clean air flow. This will also include a rubber O-ring on the threads for leak prevention. You'll get some thick hoses here and 3/8-inch NPT fittings, as well as all the hardware that you're going to need to install it and intercept your current system. Now the bracket that's going to be holding the oil separator in place will also be made of a durable aluminum construction. It will be black anodized to match the catch can itself, and this is going to offer a solid mounting solution for some peace of mind that this is going to stay where it needs to be and hold up over time in your engine bay. Now this will roughly be $200, and I personally think for the quality of this mod and the functionality that you're getting, that it's a no-brainer. Now there are a number of different options available in the category, however this will have the highest capacity and will offer a direct fit, unlike universal choices, so you're not going to have to question when it comes to installing this on your Tundra. Now again, I think especially with the boosted motor in the 3rd gen Tundra that this small mod will be well worth it to maintain the performance that you expect out of your truck. Install will be a 1 out of 3 wrenches, taking you about an hour to get the job done with some very basic hand tools. This is pretty simple. I wouldn't be surprised if you got it done sooner. However, at this point we can head over to our shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get this onto your Tundra at home. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
The tools you'll need for this project are a spring clamp tool or a pair of angled needle nose pliers, a 1/4-inch ratchet, a 3-inch extension, a 6mm and a 10mm socket, a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, some sort of lubricant such as oil, and a Q-tip to apply it. Hi everyone, today we're installing an oil separator on our Tundra, so let's get started. All right, first thing we're going to have to do in order to gain access to the area where we're going to be working is remove the engine cover. And to remove the engine cover, all we have to do is lift up on the front edge of it and then slide it forward. All right, now once we get started on this, it's going to be really difficult to be able to see exactly what we're dealing with. So I'm going to point some things out to you right now so that you can follow along as we're actually doing the install. So as you can tell, we are on the passenger side of the engine bay. Now the oil separator will actually mount on the driver's side, but where we're going to be working is right back here in this area here. So what we have is this electrical connector here that we need to move out of the way just to give us better access to the hose and the clamp that's right behind it. So we'll go ahead and remove this electrical connector first just to get it out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and remove this clamp and pull the hose out so that we can attach the new hose for the oil separator. All right, so we're going to grab a hold of the electrical connector here and just kind of pull up on it and wiggle it until it pops free. Now, as you can see, it's just a plastic connector that's attached to the bracket down there. But now that we've got it free, we can go ahead and access our spring clamp on the PCV hose right behind it. Now, dealing with spring clamps can be a pain when you actually have access to it. Now, with ours being buried in the back like this, it's a little tougher to deal with. If you want to spend the money, you can buy a tool like this, which is a spring clamp compressor. And basically it's got two fingers on the end here, and you just squeeze the clamp at the other end and it compresses the spring for you. It makes it easier to move. Now, most people are not going to have this in their home toolbox. So what we're going to use is a long pair of needle nose pliers, and these are actually a 45-degree set of pliers. You can do it with these, which is what we're going to use, or if you've got a right angle pair of pliers like this, that will be even better. So let's go ahead and get that spring clamp moved so that we can get the hose removed from the fitting. So maybe you can see this, maybe not, but here's the spring clamp that we're dealing with. And we're just going to go ahead and squeeze that and slide it towards the back, towards the firewall, to loosen up that hose so that we can remove the hose from the fitting. So we've got the spring clamp slid back off of the hose. Actually, when we did that, it actually slid the hose off the fitting itself. So, I'm not sure if you can see this, but here's our hose with the clamp on it. So this is what we're going to attach to our oil separator hose so that we can connect that to our oil separator. Now, the kit comes with two hoses, and they both have a 90-degree fitting on them. However, one of them does also have an additional short piece of rubber. This one is going to go to the actual fitting that the hose that we just disconnected from, this is going to attach to that. The one that's just the 90-degree angle, this is actually going to go into the hose that we disconnected. Now, this is going to be a tight fit, so it's highly recommended that you use some sort of lubricant. We're going to be using some motor oil here and a Q-tip, and it doesn't take a whole lot. Just go ahead and lubricate the end of the 90-degree fitting. That will help it slide into the hose a little bit easier. And then also lubricate the inside of the hose that's going to be attached to the manifold fitting. So now that we've got those lubed up, let's go ahead and get them installed, starting with just the 90-degree angle first. All right, now we go ahead and place our fitting into the hose, and you want to make sure that the hose is angled towards the driver's side when you install this. Now, workspace is very tight in here, so it will be a little difficult to get everything together. All right, so now we've got our oil separator hose connected to the vent hose from the truck. Now what we can do is go ahead and get our clamp around the end of that hose to make sure that it holds it firmly together. Now, this next step that we're about to do is probably the hardest part of this whole job. and that's moving that spring clamp up off of the hose over the top of the fitting that we just installed for the new hose. Now, for the most part, you will be working blind on this because you really just can't see back there. So it may take a little while to be able to grab a hold of that spring and slide it forward over that fitting to make sure that it is attached. So, like I said, you're not going to be able to see what we're doing back there just because of the location, but we'll do our best to get you taken care of. So as I said, you're pretty much working blind, so you're just going to have to feel for where that clamp is at on the hose. Once you've got that located, go ahead and use your pliers. Feel both sides of the spring. Make sure that you've got your pliers one side on each part of that spring. And then once you've got it located and your pliers positioned, go ahead and squeeze that spring together very slowly, very carefully so that you don't lose grip on it. And so that you also do not pinch your fingers. And then work that up to the end where the fitting is at, and go ahead and release your pliers. Now once you've got that done, that hose should be, as you can see here, pointed over towards the driver's side. Now we can go ahead and install the other hose to the fitting that the original hose came off of. Now we can go ahead and install our second hose, the one with the small rubber hose attached to the fitting, and it has a worm clamp. We'll slide that clamp over the end and hold it in place while we place the hose over the fitting on the manifold. But you want to make sure that this head of the screw here on the clamp is someplace that you actually have access to and can reach once you get this installed. So again, we're working blind, but you can feel the fitting back there. And we've got that completely inserted over the manifold fitting. Now we can go ahead and use a 6mm socket with an extension so that we can reach our hose clamp and get that tightened down. All right, we've got our 6mm socket, and we've also got a 3-inch extension on our 1/4-inch drive ratchet. Now I've got the screw on the clamp positioned at an angle like so, and I'm holding it with my left hand, and we'll go ahead and slide our socket into place using our left hand to position it since we can't see it. And then once you've got it in position, go ahead and start tightening it down. And then once you've got it tightened down, give it a little tug just to make sure that it's securely fastened on the manifold fitting. Now we're ready to mount our mounting bracket to this bolt right here on the top of the engine on the driver's side. And we're going to be using the supplied washer that came with the kit itself. Now this washer is going to go underneath the bracket, and the bolt is going to go through both of them. So we'll use our 10mm socket to remove this bolt. Then we're going to take our washer, put it on the bottom, take our bolt, run it through the hole in our mounting bracket, and then we'll put our bolt right back in the mounting hole that it came from. Now we're just going to snug this up for right now because we may have to adjust the placement of this bracket once we get the hoses attached. All right, so now we've still got a little bit of movement here to adjust it in case we need to once we get our hoses attached. All right, now you'll notice on the top of our oil separator, we do have the J&L OSC logo on it. We also have the same logo on top of our mounting bracket. So when we mount this to the mounting bracket, you want to make sure that the logos match and that they're not backwards. So we'll go ahead and use the supplied screws in the kit and attach our oil separator to our mounting bracket. So we'll insert our screw, line it up with the hole on top of the oil separator. Get one started, do the same thing with the other one. And then use a number 2 Phillips screwdriver to tighten it down. All right, now we're ready to actually hook up our hoses to our oil separator. Now the hose that goes from the PCV line that we hooked up is going to go to the side of the separator that has the C in the logo on it. The side that connects, the hose that connects to the manifold is going to connect to the fitting with the O on the side of the logo. So first thing we're going to do is put a little oil on the inside of our hose. And then we're going to use one of the supplied end caps, slide that over the hose, and then we'll slide the hose over the fitting. So you want to make sure that the end cap on the hose sits all the way against the fitting on the oil separator. Now we can go ahead and attach the other line. All right, so now we've got our other hose ready to go. Put a little oil on the inside of the hose, slide our end cap on, and then slide the hose over the fitting. Again, making sure that the end cap bottoms out against the fitting on the oil separator. All right, now that we've got our oil separator actually installed, we can go ahead and test fit our engine cover to make sure that the oil separator is in the correct position in order for all of this stuff to work together. Once we've done that, then we'll go ahead and remove our engine cover and tighten down our oil separator one last time, and then put our engine cover on for the last time. So we'll go ahead and slide this on. So we'll go ahead and slide our engine cover into place. Make sure that it seats. Check our clearance on our oil separator. It's good. So now we can lift up our engine cover, slide it out of the way, and then tighten down our bolt for our oil separator with our 10mm socket. With that done, we can go ahead and place our oil separator back into position. And your installation is now complete.
So that is going to wrap it up for my review and the install of the JNL 3.0 oil separator in a black anodized finish for the driver's side, fitting all 2022 and newer Toyota Tundras. And you can find this right here at extremeterrain.com.